ColorLogic is a color communication system for printing onto different types of metallic substrate, whether that's a silver foil, it could be a rainbow holographic. It can also be used for printing with silver ink and can also be used with things like cold foil, whereby you're putting down a foil underneath the CMYK. Also for things like sleeking applications, whereby you output a spot color as black toner, and then the foil is adhered to that black toner when it's run through a lamination process. So the ColorLogic system works for all of that. It's a fantastic system. I may be a little bit biased with that because I'm also the co-founder and developer of the ColorLogic system, so it's only logical that I would put ColorLogic support into my Visualis3R software. Now, the ColorLogic system does have their own viewing tool called FX Viewer, which is a great little application for being able to see the effects of ColorLogic files on the screen. But it's proprietary to ColorLogic and it only supports ColorLogic files, so you can't see brand colors, it doesn't do varnishing or a whole range of different things that you get in print embellishments. So I wanted to create something that was for designers to simulate all these different types of effects, and that's where the Visualis3R software comes in. So let's set up our file. Anything with a warning triangle is a layer that needs configuration. In this case, it's perforation. I'm actually just going to make these white. In fact, no, let's just make them, let's go with a perf as a blue. So typically they would go as like a blue dotted line. The cut line might be like a pink kind of color. And it's really just to basically simulate those areas on my design. Now we can also switch on overprint. So overprint will allow you to then see that layer overprinting your design. So you can switch the layer off so you can't see it, but you know, when you're looking at your design you might want to see it with the lines clearly in position. So it works on a similar basis as like Illustrator, and in design we have overprint preview. So I'm going to switch that on and you can see now we've got that spot pinkish color overprinting our design, and we can do the same on our perforation and we can then see how those work. So we know that basically it's going to be working. I'm just going to switch those back off because I like to be able to see them on my file. We also have a mask on there, so we're going to clip on the mask layer and we're going to set up the pink. So this design was actually done in a combination with various print partners. It was done in partnership with Sharp on their BP1200S 6-color print production machine. That allows you to put like a white at the front of the machine, and in this case a fluorescent pink at the end of the press, and we're using the fluorescent pink from the Touch 7 color system, which is another fantastic color system. Again, I will be a little bit biased because I'm the owner, founder and developer of the Touch 7 color system, so again just explaining how I will promote those as well with inside these video tutorials. So in this case, the Touch 7 system was done using the Sharp BP1200S. Now let's just turn all those layers off and I'll show you what that pink separation is. So the pink was actually embedded into the image. So there's a plugin that basically separates the image and adds pink into the image. And then we added these little flourishes and some text in pink. Now we also do have on there a Duplo layer. So Duplo is one of the partners that was used for adding a sculptured 3D varnish. As you can see down on like the unifoil logos and things, you can see this glossy element. That's the varnish that's on there. And if we just turn that off, you'll see what I mean. So you can see without the varnish, with the varnish. So that's all set up for those different things. I did add an invisible ink layer on here. You can't see it because invisible ink is actually invisible. But the idea is that you basically would switch on a UV light. So imagine if you were going through passport control, you hand your passport over, they stick it under the machine with a UV light and it glows up certain things on your passport. Well, there are digital devices that are out there that have invisible ink. For part of this tutorial, I actually put it onto this file because I was showing a customer how to use it. So in this case, let's just have a look at what that would look like. Let's switch that on. So you can see there that the invisible ink was used as a flourish on the back. Now this was only done as a test. It's not actually on the real print. It was just to show how the UV light would work. And we can actually move that backwards and out of the UV light and that effect would disappear just the same as it would in a realistic effect. So I'm going to switch the UV light off because for this purpose, we're going to be looking at the ColorLogic separation. So ColorLogic, we have an option to select the effect. So we can either print with silver ink, we can print with white ink, we can do a custom metallic ink, or we can do it onto foil. So the foil would be if we're doing like sleeking or cold foil application, white if we're printing onto a metallic substrate, and this was printed onto a metallic silver by Unifoil using the Uniluster DI 14 point material, which is a fantastic base material, very cost effective, a really nice quality material that goes through your machines. You'll love the results. So in this case, we're going to switch that over to white. So now we need to go to our substrate controls, and we're going to print onto foil substrate. Switch that on. Now we can, if we want to, control different things within inside the substrate. We can control the texture, the metalness and the reflection. Please do take a look at our other video tutorials on how to control all these different sliders. There's one for base materials. But it's all pretty much pre-configured with some basics in there for you. Now the white does have an option to change the opacity, and I'll just demonstrate that now. So if you've got a machine that doesn't print a really opaque white, we can simulate that with this white effect slider here. So at the moment we're looking at silver foil. Just to give you a quick little look, there is texture on there, so if you actually zoom in you'll see that kind of like dimpled effect. So that is natural that you get in substrates. You can either remove it, in which case you get a completely smooth, like mirror-like finish, or you can go really high and you'll see obviously you get that real kind of textured effect in there. The metalness is the grayness, like I said from previous video tutorials. It's like how much of the grey metalness comes through in the design and reflections. But I'm just going to reset that back to defaults. When you reset to defaults, it does go back to gloss coated, so I'm just going to flick that back over to silver. Okay, so we've got our base material. So we're looking at that color logic separation. So now we switch the white on, and we can see that how the color logic separation has been designed. We have white ink in all of this area. So that's one of the unique features of the ColorLogic system, is that it's designed to be able to print with silver ink or white ink, and you don't have to change the file. It's all done through the ripping process. So just to give you a quick demonstration, if I put my substrate back to gloss coated paper and I change this over to silver, what you're seeing now is like a metallic silver on white paper. So there's your white paper, there's the silver. Now if I switch this to white, it does the opposite. So now we have to change that over to foil paper. We now have foil with a white ink mask, so all the white is now your mask. So it's kind of like the opposite of that effect. So let's just switch everything back on. Let's take a look at how that file now looks. So we can see there we have that sculptured 3D varnish from Unifoil. We have the foil effect from the substrate. And then we have the Touch 7 Neon Pink in there. Combining it all together with the ColorLogic system, we now have a very nice, effective solution. So this file here, like I said, if you've got a sample from your print and you find that the substrate's a little bit too shiny, you can reduce the reflection down. Maybe it's a little bit grayer. You have the option to play around with all these settings to fine-tune things. Maybe it's quite pale. It's all dependent upon what you want to do and how you want to play with the sliders. And as always, you can save presets. Makes it a very easy system to use and match different types of materials. So there you go. That's the quick overview of the ColorLogic system, and also Touch 7 in there as well. Like I said, this was a partnership between Sharp, Unifoil, Duplo, ColorLogic and Touch 7 to show the benefits of using fifth color embellishments to create tactile feels, fluorescent things. So this pink would glow underneath the UV light. Now, we don't currently support these neon inks under UV light. That's something that we are looking at coding, and if we do get it working, we will do it through the UV toggle down at the bottom. But for now, we're just showing those colors. Now, if you did have a different type of pink ink on your press, then obviously you can switch it over. So maybe if you were printing this on a different device, then obviously you would select your press partner. But obviously for what we're doing here, we're printing on the Sharp BP1200S. So there we go. That's the quick overview of the ColorLogic system with Visualis3R.